Our meeting was scheduled to start at 6 o'clock. They tell us there are a few more people filtering in, so it's almost 6:15. We'll maybe give it just a couple of more minutes and then try to start everything, and those that come in later will have to catch up. If I can have your attention, hi, I'm Richard Howard, Mayor of the City, and I'm joined here with several public officials, and maybe we'll take the time later on to introduce the city councilors that are here with us. This is the second of two meetings that we've held about this new program that's being implemented as of October 6th. And the purpose of the meeting is really twofold. We've given out some information, and everyone that is here, hopefully you have gotten the flyers that are down here on the front table, several of which look like this. The kind of beige flyer that was mailed through the entire city, and two additional flyers, kind of a green colored and a sand color, all with questions and answers about the program, how it works, questions on recycling. We're glad to stay tonight. There's a question and answer session that we'll have after I give you a few opening remarks, but all the questions about the program that have typically come up hopefully are contained on those sheets of paper. We'll answer them again if it needs to be clarified, or if you have a new one, we're glad to entertain that one as well. But that's, those are the informational brochures on the program itself. Also on the table are two sheets. One looks like your standard kind of pie chart. It's two-sided. Talks about what we spend and how we get the money that we do spend. And a second chart that looks something like this and talks about our average tax status on the average real estate bill in relation to certain other communities that we think are a fair comparison. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that information first. I'm going to try to address, other than the questions about how the program works, really the why of why I felt, being the mayor, I'm in my 13th year as mayor, we had to propose this initiative, and why the city council, some can speak for themselves if you ask them questions, endorse the program. And in essence, the why is about revenue, and it is about how much money I believe we need to spend reasonably in order to try to deliver the types of municipal services to everyone that lives here, 56,000 residents, in an effort to have as high a quality of life as we can in Malden. For my entire 13 years, I've tried to do everything, whether it's building schools like this, or refurbishing parks, or trying to do some economic development initiatives, keeping the city clean, having a vital police and fire department. Anything that we do, we've tried to do in a quality way over the years, but we've also tried to do it efficiently. And after 13 years of putting municipal budgets together, this is probably the toughest decision that we had to make. For 13 years, we have not had any override proposals. We do not charge user fees for a variety of activities that most of our neighboring communities do nowadays. And when you look at this, the grid chart, what we're kind of trying to point out as a starting point is this. The far second right-hand column in, with the boldface 222, it tells you where we are in relation to the 351 cities and towns on an average tax bill. We're 222nd. And the second really lowest urban kind of municipal city in all of Massachusetts with regard to our cost on an average tax bill. Just last year, the City Council passed and I endorsed, and I think it'll happen again this year, for those residential owners who are owner occupants, a 5% reduction off the real estate tax bill, which for the average homeowner probably meant something just short of a couple of $100. And I think it'll be passed again this year, which will mean the same for fiscal year 2009. You pay your bills, as you know, on a quarterly basis beginning now. And by the end of this year, you should have realized if you're an average single-family homeowner and a multifamily homeowner, if you're a homeowner occupant, close to $400, in some cases $500 off your tax bill. It's not erased from our revenue projections. It's spread across other property owners in the city, but owner-occupants, those who we think are the most important taxpayers of all in the community, have realized at least that benefit, in addition to, we believe, having a fair taxing program to begin with. In the 13 years that I've been mayor, we've tried to implement every cost-cutting measure that we can. We have about 200 fewer employees in 2008 than we did in 1996 when I came in, about 1,600. Most of that reduction has happened as a result of early retirements that have occurred, especially within the operations of City Hall. We have not added any personnel in any of our major departments. Our enrollment in the police department and the fire departments have remained stagnant or at the same level as they were when I came in. We have filled positions in retirement, but we have not added any. We've reduced some personnel within the DPW operations. Things like our public library have stayed the way they've been. We have allowed investment, and there have been some personnel added within the Malden Public Schools, and that is as a result of a couple things. That's a service that I think is a very, very high priority, but also in 1993, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts started about the business of the Education Reform Act, which was a commitment to have all communities, especially urban ones, invest much more heavily in their school systems, and that money that has come in from the state has been allowed to flow to public schools. And it kind of brings me to my next point about revenue. Where does our money come from? And it comes from all of you, plus others that aren't here, obviously, but in general, if you look at the two pie charts on one side of the sheet that says revenue, is a 1999. We just try to pick, not a random 10 years, but I've been in office since 96, but we took a 10-year snapshot of what our revenues look like in 99 and what they look like in fiscal year 2009, and that's what this current year is called, even though we're in calendar year 2008. And you can see by their proportions that they've remained relatively the same. There's been somewhat more state aid given to Malden over the 10-year period, but as I mentioned earlier, it is all entirely earmarked, the increase of it is almost all entirely earmarked for public school investment. So all that additional state aid, the difference between the 32 and the 59, the blue piece of pie, is all almost on account of investment in public schools. And in fact, the money that we get from the state that we're allowed to spend on other city functions, everything else that's in the pie chart, and flip over to the back sheet, it shows you how we spend the money, which departments we spend money on. But all other municipal services, other than public schools,